Instagram, featuring the rapper Nomuzi Mabena. You probably know her as Muesli. The video showed her driving and talking and filming herself and then having a crash. Before you watch it, don't be alarmed. You know by now the truth. It was a fake crash, but this is some of what it looked like yesterday morning.
2019 is the year that Nomuzi Mabena music finally signs people. So this is like a call to action right now. If you're a singer, dancer, rapper, and you feel like you can be the star that my label is looking for, I need you to come out. So if you know any singers, dancers, rappers, DJs who can sing, dance, and rap,
well, as you can see, the idea behind the campaign, and of course you know that Muesli is with me in our studio now, so she is alive and well. But the idea behind the campaign was to introduce a sense of shock value into what was happening about how people are drinking and driving. Part of it to do, of course, came with Volkswagen, was part of the campaign, so was Diageo. We'll speak to both of them. But yesterday, a representative from Volkswagen spoke to my colleague Francis Hurd here on The Full View.
It was a campaign that was planned, so we expected that people will look at it differently, and other people will feel that it's a campaign that is necessary to have in our country. So I was listening to some of the comments from your listeners. I saw that the first comment was on point. That this is the time of the year where we are not usually exposed to this kind of campaigns. So our plan is that we want to run this campaign for the rest of the year. So we want to create awareness and then have people starting talking about driving responsible. So it's a dialogue that we hope all South Africans will have, and then create more awareness around the consequences of getting into a car after having one or two drinks.
Well, wasn't this going too far, though? You left it for 12 hours. People thought she may have been killed. Maybe people who knew her, maybe people who had an emotional response. They've been in accidents before. This can have a big impact.
You know, we firstly have to apologize for the distress that was caused, or people that were close to her that felt that the campaign was real, and then that Nomuzi was badly hurt. But what was important for us is that the message came across when Nomuzi released the video to say this is the campaign that she's running, she's not hurt, and then that people need to pledge to start drinking responsible.
Well, that was the situation this time last night here on The Full View. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at how the campaign was actually filmed.
if you know any singers, dancers, rappers, DJs who can sing, dance, and rap, nobody was harmed in the making of this accident.
Stand by and action.
I partnered with Volkswagen and Drive to stop the myth Yamunati Haufili.
We're going to be doing a lot more on the road. We're going to be doing an emergency stop so that it's very clear.
We've all done it. We've all lost ourselves over the festive season without thinking we may lose our lives, but the risk is real. Drinking and driving causes thousands of deaths on our road every single year. I got to see the impact on those left behind, but not everybody will. Make the change. Take the pledge in 2019.
Well, Nomuzi Mabena, also known as Muesli, is here. And in our Pretoria studio in Tshwane is Lebogang Mashigo, the manager of Alcohol in Society for the drinks distributor Diageo. Nomuzi, Lebogang, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Muesli, let me start with you. I mean, I'm sure it's been a tough 24 hours for you. Let me put this politely. What were you thinking when you just started this campaign?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. I think what I was thinking was what the cause is really about. So many people have lost their lives on our roads, and not only have people lost their lives, but the family members that are left behind have been left to deal with all the consequences of other people's actions, which I think is incredibly unfair, and something needed to be done for those people.
I'm sure everyone you bump into has asked you this question. Who did you tell and who didn't? I mean, you tell 5 people, the whole world's going to know it's a stunt. I presume you told your mom?
Indeed, I definitely had to tell my mother, I told my father, and I told my sister. They were actually the only people who knew that I was going to be partaking in this campaign. They were the only people who knew what it is that I was actually going through. Everybody else was going through the emotions, but internally, as a unit, as a family unit, we were also going through it. But we also had to put ourselves in the shoes of other families who unfortunately didn't have their daughter back after 12 hours. We put the nation through 12 hours of panic, of whatever it is they want to call it, but families are dealing with this for a lifetime. So it's something that I know my family is proud I did, and I'm proud of myself too.
Lebogang Mashigo, you're in our studios in Pretoria this evening. I mean, this kind of stunt has been done before. I'll use the word stunt, you may disagree with it. Do you think it still has the same shock value? I mean, there were people on Twitter who were really quite cynical. As soon as Muesli sort of disappeared off the radar, already people were saying, no man, this is a stunt. Does it still work?
Stephen, as Drive Dry, we have an important mandate, which is basically to reduce the road fatalities. Many people are dying over the festive season because of drinking and driving. So we have partnered with Muesli and VW to create this campaign in order, to encourage people to think twice before they get into the car after having had one drink or two. It's very important that people do not drink and drive at all. So we wanted to leave it out to the public, to talk about it on social media, because that's actually the best place where you can reach mostly young people to also talk about, the dangers of drinking and driving, also extending it to the dangers of texting or Insta-lifing or Facebook lifing while driving. So we think that the campaign has worked very well. As you can have seen, we were trending on various social media platforms, on the media in South Africa. So the conversation is out there. People are talking about it. Our objective of sparking the dialogue in the community is really working.
I suppose an immediate question would come through about tactics. No one's going to argue with your aims, Lebogang. But if, as an alcohol distributor, you were serious about all of this, you would have done it in December, not in January, when half the people I know have stopped drinking for January anyway.
So as Diageo Drive Dry, we are rolling out various campaigns throughout the year. It's not only the festive season thing. So with this campaign partnering with Muesli, we wanted people to enter the new year and make a resolution to say, this year I'm definitely not going to be drinking and driving or texting and driving. So it should be an ongoing thing. It's not a once-off thing. We create our products for people to enjoy responsibly everywhere, but we are against people drinking our products and driving at the same time.
Muesli, what kind of reaction did you get? I mean, when, you magically came back to life in a way, I imagine some people would have been just delighted. Some people, I imagine, would have been quite angry.
Yes, there were a lot of people who were definitely quite moved by this campaign, and it has proven to be quite polarizing. But I think that was our intention from the very beginning. A lot of people are surprised, they're calling it backlash, whereas we have been anticipating this for a very long time. This may be the second day of the campaign for a lot of people, but we have been working on it for months. As you saw in the full video, there were other posts that I had been posting throughout the month insinuating that I'm actually drinking and driving, and most people, consumers of alcohol, were actually just liking the post. They were just saying that, yo, this is cool car, I like your hair. They weren't really getting to the roots of the problem. And I think it just goes to show that South Africans definitely have an attitude of condoning bad behavior on our roads, and it really needs to change.
Can I ask who approached who? Did someone tap you on the shoulder and please do this, or did you tap them on the shoulder?
I was actually approached by VW to be a part of this campaign, and I actually like how real they were about this. I remember sitting firstly, when they first told me about it, they said, this is not going to be vanilla. And I said, okay, show me.
But you're going with a big brand. Of course it's going to be vanilla.
And they showed me, and as soon as she showed me, I said, you're right, this is not vanilla. And they gave me a very long time to think about my decision, to think about everything that could potentially come out of this, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But for me, the good far outweighed anything else. And we're really starting to see the sentiments change, not only on social media, but on the streets, which I think is the most important place.
The non-disclosure agreement must have been quite something that you had to sign before that discussion. Lebogang, something like this. I mean, we've had we live in a society that has so much money put at alcohol campaigns. In other words, trying to stop people from abusing alcohol, and yet those campaigns are outspent probably by a figure of 10 or 100 to 1 by, frankly, your advertising budget. I mean, we need to have a proper conversation about alcohol. We also need to have a proper conversation about advertising alcohol and making it look glamorous.
No, correct. I agree with you, Stephen. We really need to have those conversations. But as an alcohol company and an industry in general, we are putting everything out that we can do in order to reduce road fatalities. It's really not cool, as Muslim mentioned, that we South Africans have a culture of condoning drinking and driving. We think that it's cool to get into a car and drive after you've had a few drinks. So we are going to work together with the government, collaboratively with everyone, just to make sure that we get the message out there. This has to come to an end. I say enough is enough. We cannot keep on seeing people dying on our roads, people losing their loved ones because of drinking and driving. South Africans need to change their behavior towards this issue.
It takes a generation for a society to change its relationship with alcohol, and I say that looking at evidence from Europe. For example, people now in Britain and Australia, as another example, will look down hugely at someone who drinks and drives. That wasn't the case 30 or 40 years ago. Is it going to take us a generation as well to do the same here?
It is going to take us some time, to change the behavior. We are actively working with aware.org, going to different schools, educating young children about the dangers, number one, of drinking while you're underage, and then also driving while you're under the influence of alcohol. So it's very important topic, and then we're also working with the government to see if this is something they can introduce in the curriculum, teach young people at school while they are still there, about the dangers of drinking and driving. And then we're also visiting various universities, colleges around the country, and then making sure that the message is spread. In that case, we will be able to touch, the young people while they're still young, and then hopefully their attitude will change when time goes by.
Musli, you've been through all of this. You knew it was coming. You told only 3 people what was actually going to happen. Having looked at the reaction, having looked at how people are talking about it, but having looked, and you say backlash almost in inverted commas. I would say as a journalist there was a backlash. Would you do it again?
I would definitely do it again, but I'm glad that I will never ever have to do it again, because I am pretty sure that this will resonate with people. We need to remember that this was not about liking anything. If anything, we want people to log out of themselves and stop liking things, and then actually just take a look at themselves and do better. And I think that this campaign has done just that.
It's interesting, perhaps part of a much bigger campaign there. My thanks to Musli, of course, Nomuzi Mabena, and Lebogang Mashigo, the Alcohol and Society Manager at Diageo South Africa. And of course, you can go back and have your own view on that. You can tweet us at @FullView SABC and let us know what you think of that particular campaign.